So when it comes to architecture, there's so many lenses to choose from. There isn't one lens that fits all because there's so many different styles to architecture photography as well. I personally really like shooting ultra wide so I can get a building in its local environment, its landscape environment. But loads of photographers also really like trying to really see the detail in a building, really see the shapes, and also how that building affects people and how people interact with that building as well. Most people, when they think about architecture, they really think about those kind of ultra wide angle lenses. So the first thing is something like a 14 to 24 2.8. 14 to 24's 2.8 not only give you that ultra wide angle field of view, a little bit of a flexibility being able to zoom to 24, that 2.8 aperture can be very useful in low light situations. But let's say, for example, that you don't want something that's as big or as heavy as a 14 to 24 2.8. Maybe you want something that's a little bit smaller, lighter, easier to travel with. So that's where you would look at something like a 14 to 30. So the 14 to 30 f4 still gives you that 14mm ultra wide, which is great, but it's an f4 rather than a 2.8. A lens that everybody talks about, a 24 to 70. It can be used for everything. A 24 to 70, again, is available in 2.8 or f4. And again, you have to think about how likely are you to shoot in low light situations. A 24 to 70 is a much easier focal length to work with in some cases to pick out those details in the buildings. Now, if you really like shooting primes, most primes are really good for architectural photography. You've got a range of primes to choose from: a 20mm 1.8, a 24mm, a 35, a 50, and an 85. Realistically, if I was going to go and shoot architectural photography with primes, personally, I'd choose a 20. If you do want something a little longer, I'd consider looking at a 35 or a 50. Now, don't feel like you can't go much longer, because there are longer lenses that are incredibly useful when it comes to architectural photography. Picking out the different shapes and contours in buildings, that's where those longer lenses will really allow you to pick out those details. You could either look at a 70 to 200 2.8, or if you want something that's significantly smaller and lighter, you could look at a 24 to 200. A 24 to 200 is a great lens for somebody that really likes travel, wide angle, and then have the ability to zoom into detailed areas in a building. If you really like details, that's where something like a 100 to 400 comes in, and that extra flexibility when it comes to just those even longer focal lengths. A lot of these lenses that I've talked about are full frame Z-mount lenses, but if you've got a Z-mount camera that's a DX camera, there is a wide variety of DX lenses that you can choose from as well. You can also make use of the full frame Z-mount lenses. So I've talked you through a lot of different lenses there, and as I said at the start, there isn't really one lens that does everything. For architecture, it's all about your style. It's all about what makes you want to take those pictures of the buildings and the environment that you find yourself in. So if you have the ability with family and friends who have different lenses, you want to try out different styles, think about going out with them or returning to a location that you've shot before. It might be worthwhile shooting that location with a different lens and a different style, just opening up other avenues to your photography, just trying different things.